Imagine this. It's 2 a.m. and you're staring at the ceiling, feeling the heavy ache of a recent loss, a broken dream, or perhaps a disappointment that refuses to let go. You try to rationalize it, to fight it off, but the pain sits there, stubborn and silent, pressing on your chest. Maybe you've asked yourself, why me? Why now? What's the point of hurting so much if nothing will ever change? Or maybe you've simply felt numb, like the world has drained every ounce of hope from you, and now you're left wondering if you'll ever feel truly alive again. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. In fact, you're standing at the threshold of the most universal human question of all. Does suffering have meaning? And if it does, how could any meaning be enough to justify this kind of pain? Today, I want to invite you on a journey not of easy comfort, but of radical honesty and hope. We're going to walk with Viktor Frankl, a man who stared directly into the face of unimaginable suffering and emerged not only unbroken, but profoundly transformed. You're about to discover why your suffering, as unbearable as it sometimes feels, may contain the seeds of your deepest growth and power. By the end of this journey, you'll have real tools for transforming your pain, not by escaping it, but by choosing how you meet it. Are you ready to see your suffering in a completely new light? Let's begin. Viktor Frankl was no stranger to suffering. As a Jewish psychiatrist imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps, he lost nearly everything: his family, his freedom, his future. In that brutal place, where even hope itself was starved, he noticed something extraordinary. There is one freedom no one can take from you: the freedom to choose your attitude. Frankl called this the last of human freedoms. When every external liberty is stripped away, you can still choose how you respond inside. You can choose dignity, even in chains. You can choose meaning, even in chaos. Maybe you've never been in a concentration camp, but you know what it's like to feel powerless, trapped in a job you hate, cornered by illness, or frozen by the collapse of a relationship. In those moments, it seems the world is writing your story for you. But is it? Let me ask you, what if, even in your lowest moments, you could still claim a power that no person, no circumstance, no tragedy could ever take? Frankl's insight is simple, but devastatingly profound. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing. He writes, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So what does this mean for you? It means your suffering does not have to define you. You are not what happens to you. You are what you choose to become in response. Try this. Next time pain visits you, pause. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, who do I want to be, even in this pain? What values, what strength, what dignity can you bring to this moment, right now? That's the first key to transforming suffering, not by removing it, but by reclaiming your power within it. But what if your pain isn't just something to endure? What if it's trying to teach you something vital? Frankl's greatest breakthrough wasn't simply surviving suffering, but finding meaning through it. He discovered that those who found purpose, who believed their suffering had meaning, were the most likely to survive, even in the camps. Here's the paradox. You cannot always avoid pain, but you can always find meaning within it. Frankl calls this the meaning of suffering. Pain, when unavoidable, becomes your call to rise, to seek purpose. Maybe your suffering is not a detour, but the path itself. Imagine Chloe, a young woman whose dreams collapse after losing her job, and a close friend in the same month. The despair nearly swallows her. But instead of just surviving, she asks herself, "What can I learn here? What strength is being called forth from me?" Slowly, she discovers a new resilience, a compassion for others in pain, and a determination to rebuild her life from the ashes. So what does this mean for you? It means your suffering is not proof that your life is broken. It's proof that your story is unfinished. The meaning isn't always obvious. Sometimes you only see it years later. But by refusing to numb yourself or give up, by choosing to ask what this pain demands from you, you begin to turn agony into growth. Practice write down a painful event from your past. Now, list at least one way it forced you to grow, taught you about yourself, or awakened empathy for others. Can you see the seed of meaning, even if it was small? Frankl puts it this way: when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Let's pause and breathe. If you're starting to feel resistant or skeptical, that's okay. Maybe it feels unfair to expect you to find meaning in the worst things that have ever happened to you. But what's the alternative? Bitterness, numbness. Frankl doesn't say suffering is good. He says it can be transformed if you choose to meet it as a call, not just a curse. Frankl identifies 3 broad paths to meaning: creative values, what you contribute; experiential values, what you receive, love, beauty, nature; and attitudinal values, how you face what cannot be changed. Attitudinal values are about your inner stance. When fate puts you in a situation you cannot escape or solve, your attitude is your final canvas. Even in humiliation, deprivation, or loss, your choice of attitude is a unique achievement. No one else can make it for you. Let's make this real. Imagine you are blindsided by a chronic illness. The doctors say there is no cure. You rage, you bargain, you grieve. But at some point, you face a choice. Will you become bitter? Will you retreat? Or will you choose to carry this pain with courage, perhaps even with hope? Will you use your suffering as a way to connect, to create meaning for yourself, and maybe even for others? Frankl tells the story of a man who lost his wife and could not recover from grief. The man asks Frankl what would have happened if your wife had died first and you had to mourn her. The man answers, "Oh, for her, that would have been terrible." Frankl then says, "You see, your suffering spares her that pain. You have taken it on, and in doing so, have given meaning, even to your grief." So what does this mean for you? It means there is always a way to transform the unbearable, not by denial, but by the courage of your response. Try this when you hit a wall you cannot climb. Ask, how can I face this not with despair, but with dignity? What attitude would make me proud of myself, even here? Remember, you cannot always control your pain, but you can always choose your stance. Here's something Frankl insists on. Even when it's uncomfortable, meaning is not something handed to you. It's something you are called to create. This is a philosophy of responsibility, not passivity. Frankl writes, "Ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather must recognize that it is he who is asked." Think about that. Life is always asking you, what will you do with this suffering? What will you make of this pain? It's tempting to blame the world, your childhood, your circumstances. Sometimes you have every reason to. But even then, You have a choice to remain a victim of fate or to become the author of your own story. Imagine you are standing at a crossroads after heartbreak. You want to stay angry, to shut out the world. But then you realize this is your chance to answer life's question with your actions. Will you retreat? Or will you find a way to give meaning to your pain by helping someone else, by starting something new, by daring to hope again? So what does this mean for you? It means you are not powerless. You are being asked right now to decide who you will become, regardless of what has happened to you. Practical step. Next time you feel lost, try asking, what is life asking of me right now? How can I respond with integrity, even in the smallest action? Let's pause for a moment. Suffering can feel so isolating. But when you see it as a question that life is asking you and not just a punishment, you begin to recover your sense of agency. This isn't about toxic positivity. It's about refusing to surrender your inner freedom. Frankl did not romanticize suffering. He saw its horror up close. Yet he believed in something called tragic optimism, the ability to remain hopeful, not by denying tragedy, but by insisting on hope in the face of it. Tragic optimism is not about ignoring suffering. It's about trusting that, even in the worst situations, there is potential for growth, for meaning, for an unexpected transformation. Let's make it practical. Picture Liam, who survives a life-changing accident. He loses the ability to walk, and for months is consumed by anger and despair. But then, through pain and struggle, he discovers a new purpose. He becomes a mentor to others who are suffering, using his experience to build a community of support and resilience. Frankl saw this again and again, people who, despite everything, found a way to turn their wounds into sources of hope, not just for themselves, but for others. So what does this mean for you? It means that hope is not naive. It is an act of courage. It's the refusal to let suffering close your heart. Even when life is at its darkest, the possibility of meaning endures. Self-inquiry. When you feel yourself sinking, ask, is there a way to let this pain grow me or even serve someone else? Sometimes hope is the smallest act, a kind word, a single step forward. Let's draw these threads together with one final story. Picture an elderly artist named Kai. After losing his lifelong partner and facing a devastating illness, Kai at first gives up painting. But as months pass, he finds himself drawn back to his art, not to escape, but to transform his sorrow into beauty. Each brushstroke becomes a silent act of defiance, a way to honor his love, and a gift to others who see themselves in his work. In the end, Kai's suffering becomes a bridge, connecting him with others and bringing meaning to both his pain and his life. So, what does all of this mean for you, right here, right now, in the real world of bills, heartbreaks, disappointments, and hope? It means suffering is not the end of your story. It is an invitation, sometimes unwanted, often agonizing, for you to claim your freedom, to create meaning, to choose your response, and to discover a well of strength you never knew you had. Frankl teaches us, your pain is not proof that you are broken. It's a signal that you are alive and that there is more of your story still to be written. Maybe you don't know the meaning of your suffering yet. That's okay. The work is not to have all the answers, but to keep living the questions, to show up every day and ask, who do I want to be, even in this? In a world obsessed with comfort and quick fixes, the power to transform suffering into meaning is the ultimate rebellion and the truest path to inner strength. Let's recap what we've uncovered together. You always have the freedom to choose your attitude, even when everything else is lost. Suffering can become meaningful when you rise to meet it, letting it change and deepen you. Your attitude, your way of bearing the unbearable, is of value and achievement unique to you. Life calls you to answer, to create meaning through your responses, not just to wait for answers. Even in tragedy, hope and growth are possible. Tragic optimism is an act of strength, not denial. Here's what I want you to take with you. Your suffering is not pointless, not if you choose to meet it with courage, dignity, and curiosity. You can ask, again and again, how can I grow through this? What meaning can I create? Who do I want to become? You don't have to do this perfectly. You don't have to do it alone. But you do have the power, right now, to take the first step to stop running from pain and instead ask it what it has come to teach you. So, what will you do with your suffering? Will you let it shrink you? Or will you let it wake up the deepest strength inside you? If you found this video meaningful, share your experience in the comments below. How have you turned suffering into meaning, or how do you hope to start? Subscribe for more deep dive explorations into life's biggest questions. And don't miss our next episode, where we'll explore how to build hope in a hopeless world. Your journey to inner strength begins with a single choice. Let today be that day. The ideas explored in this video are for philosophical and psychological exploration and are not intended as professional advice. Viewers are encouraged to engage in their own critical thinking and further research, and to consult with qualified professionals for personal concerns.